Yo guys, what is going on? Coming at you today with a RustTyrannomon green deck profile. This is a very fun and also relatively budget-friendly deck for the 1.5 format, featuring the Rusty Boy RustTyrannomon himself. A very cool and well-designed card. Unfortunately, doesn't see too much play just due to the fact that it's not like super competitive. But it's still viable, and it can do some pretty cool things if you do have the correct setup. So let's go ahead and get into it. So starting off with the level 3s, I'm playing 3 copies of Agumon. Pretty self-explanatory. Agumon's a staple in most green decks. He just gives your Digimon an extra 1000 DP, so that boost is always nice. Helps you beat over your opponent's Digimon, and it's especially relevant because in this deck, you are doing a lot of attacking over your opponent's Digimon, so the extra 1000 is nice, especially because RustTyrannomon is only 11,000 DP. This can definitely come in handy. And then I'm also playing 4 copies of Goblimon for your 2-play rookie. Having a 2-play, of course, is just very nice. I don't really need to explain that memory management is just a core facet of this game, and it's very important. And just also having this with something like HPD, where you can play a Goblimon and then Digivolve into, level 6 by suspending him for free, saving yourself maybe 3 or 4 memory in many cases. So Goblimon is definitely a staple, or at least any version of like a 2-to-play rookie. Maybe Argomon instead, but I opted with this guy. I'm also playing 2 copies of Tentomon. I was looking for, green Digimon with solid inherited effects, because your goal is to like build up into your RustTyrannomon and just get a bunch of inherited effects on him that can be very useful. This one allows you to suspend one of your opponent's Digimon with 3000 or less DP, so this can get around Gatsumon, which is a pretty prominent black blocker. And then just a lot of other Digimon that helps you, like if you have something else on your opponent's side of the field, you can just attack over their smaller guys, and just helps you clear boards. Also playing 2 copies of Wormmon. Wormmon has the ability where you get to reveal the top 3 cards of your deck on deletion and add a 4 or 5 Digimon from those cards to your hand. So pretty solid in helping you search for your combo pieces. And then the little tech here I'm playing is 2 copies of Kokuumon. Kokuumon, now on paper, he's a very expensive rookie. He's a 4-play, so you don't want to play him. But he's also 1 to evolve, which is kind of a lot for a rookie. Like, I mean, every other rookie is a 0 cost, right? But he does have a very nice inherited ability, which gives your level 6 or higher Digimon security attack +1. So this is the only security attack boosting card we currently have for green Digimon. So putting this on a RustTyrannomon that can attack over your opponent's Digimon with piercing can be pretty scary. So I thought just 2 copies of this guy was fine, and that rounds off our count for the level 3s. So moving on to the level 4s, I am playing 4 copies of Woodmon. Of course, this is your blocker. Before we get the starter deck Kabuterimon, this guy is the only one we have, so I'm definitely going to be maxing out on him. And then because this is a Tyrannomon-focused deck, I'm also playing 3 copies of Tyrannomon. So Tyrannomon has the ability where you get to reveal the top 3 cards of your deck and add a level 5, as well as a green tamer from those cards to your hand. So I am playing a couple of green tamers here, so being a potential +2 is super nice, especially if you do have Taiga. It reduces his Digivolve cost from a 2 to a 1, or potentially even a 0 if you have multiple copies of Taiga. So I didn't want to play for this, however, just because sometimes it can get a little too much if you're trying to Digivolve in your breeding area and you have this guy. It's kind of terrible, because then you're paying 2 for a Digimon without an actual like inherited effect. So I only wanted to play 3 of that. I thought that was fine. And I'm also playing 3 copies of Kabuterimon. Kabuterimon is a 1 evolution champion, so that's really nice. And then he also has a solid inherited effect where your Digimon gets 1000 for every suspended Digimon your opponent has. So that comes into play because I'm also playing Lilymon, and just boosting your RustTyrannomon is really important. So then the last card I'm playing here is 2 copies of Togemon. Togemon has the effect where you get to basically reveal top 3. You're doing a lot of revealing in this deck. You're doing a lot of searching, and it makes it pretty consistent, but it is still kind of slow. So you get to reveal top 3 at a 5 or a higher Digimon from those cards to your hand. So it can actually search level 7s, which is kind of cool. But I'm not playing any in this deck, obviously. But it helps you search, your RustTyrannomon and your Puppetmon and Stingmon, all these other pieces that are very important. So this just helps with consistency. I thought 2 copies was fine, so that rounds off the champions. And then for the level 5s, I'm playing 3 copies of Blossomon. Blossomon has the Digisorption 3 effect. Basically, you get to suspend something on your side of the field if you want to, and then just Digivolve Blossomon for a cost of 0. So being able to get free evolutions is super powerful. And then the 1 copy of Argomon level 5, who has the same effect, but he's just better because he also has the inherited effect, where whenever attacking, you get to play a level 3 Digimon from your hand, level 3 green Digimon from your hand suspended. That's really good with Wormmon, because Wormmon has that on deletion ability. So I only played 4 copies of the download or Digisorption targets. You could play another copy of Blossomon, but I thought this was fine, especially because you also want dudes with inherited effects like Metal Tyrannomon. Metal Tyrannomon allows you to unsuspend the Digimon on top of it, so RustTyrannomon, if you kill a level 6 or higher. Now, the only reason I'm playing 2 copies of this is because, well, 1, to make room for the Digisorption targets, but also, it's really not that good against level 6s or higher, because the goal is to kill a 6 or higher and then unsuspend Rust and then attack again. However, RustTyrannomon's only 11,000, and every other level 6 that's prominent in the game is at least 11,000. So if you don't have any sort of boosts, you're not killing a Shine Greymon, you're not killing a Blitz Greymon, you're not killing an Omnimon or anything with this guy. So I honestly don't think he's like that good. Maybe that's the wrong choice, you guys can let me know. But I thought 2 was fine. And then I'm also playing 2 copies of Lilymon. Lilymon, I actually really like her inherited effect. You get to suspend one of your opponent's Digimon without blocker. We saw this a lot in 1.0 with like Titamon control and like other kind of Rosemon control green decks. But I still think Lilymon is very good, at least until we get Lilamon, because Lilamon is just better in pretty much every situation. But being able to suspend your opponent's Digimon is just a very powerful effect. So that is it for the level 5s. So then for the level 6s, of course, I'm playing 4 copies of RustTyrannomon. He's the boss monster of the deck. This kind of the whole goal is just to get out RustTyrannomon. If you have a green tamer in play, you get to attack your opponent's unsuspended Digimon, which is a very cool effect. And if you take control early, if you have this set up early, you are just able to attack over your opponent's unsuspended Digimon, and basically they can't even commit to the board because you'll just kill everything that they put down. So this card is, in theory, very good. However, 11,000 DP, a 4 Digivolution cost, just kind of hinders him from being like very competitive. But there are ways to make this guy work. So the other level 6s I'm playing are 2 copies of Seriesmon. Kind of does the same thing if you think about it as RustTyrannomon, because the goal between these cards is just to get rid of your opponent's Digimon. And Seriesmon does that in a different way, where basically you're just suspending your opponent's Digimon and attacking over this. But with Rust, you don't even need to suspend it. You're kind of like I don't want to say you're skipping a step because you also need a tamer, but anyways, these guys kind of accomplish the same thing of just like clearing opponent's board. And that's also why I find the Digisorption targets to be good, because if you want to play Seriesmon as like a very cheap level 6, now it's cheap because, you know, he's a 5 cost, but he does have Digisorption 3, so you're potentially making him a 2. So I thought Seriesmon worked out pretty well. And then just 1 copy of the rest of the guys, 1 copy Mega Gargomon, 1 Bancho Stingmon, and 1 Puppetmon. So these guys are all good, game winners in their own right. Bancho Stingmon is a ridiculous card and just counters Omnimons and basically any boss monster that's 12,000 or more, Imperial Dramon, stuff like that. So this guy wins games. Puppetmon's the same way. You know, many people don't like Puppetmon because he's very expensive and would rather prefer Mega Gargo, but you can't drop Mega Gargo from your hand, and, you know, you can just drop Puppetmon just straight up. So I also think this becomes more relevant in BT4 when we get Chaosmon Valderarm. Like, being able to play Puppetmon and go Valderarm afterwards might be, like, an actual, like, spicy play. So I think Puppetmon's still good. Mega Gargomon, of course, for the same reason. So that rounds off the level 6 count. And then lastly, for the Tamers and Option cards, playing 3 copies of Taiga. Taiga, unfortunately, is not a memory tamer. Many people seem to think he is, but he is a 3 cost, and he gives all your Tyrannomons piercing, which is kind of important because I often forget that he gives every Tyrannomon piercing, which includes level 4s and 5s. And then also he has the ability where you get to suspend him and reduce the cost of a Tyrannomon by 1. So having this in tandem with Mimi is really good because you can start your turn with 3, and then you can, suspend Taiga and then go into RustTyrannomon for only a 3 cost. So that gets around it, but again, it does require you to have both these exact tamers on field. So that's why I think this deck is just a little bit slow. Mimi kind of tries to make up for that by, you know, speeding up the game, by being able to get eggs out really quickly. But also this deck is a little bit like, it can break sometimes, because you are playing green Tamers. You have to play Tamers. And, you know, if you're playing Tamers, ultimately you're going to have to cut down on, like, the actual Digimon you're playing, or the option cards. And for the option cards, I'm just playing 1 copy of HPD and 1 copy of Terror Cluster. So this is just to get any, you know, get some removal out, maybe an Omnimon that attacked last turn, maybe Shine Greymon or something that you can't beat over. And the HPD, of course, is just the best option card in the game, so I gotta play the 1 copy. But yeah, I'm not playing Dimension Scissors now, mainly because that card, again, is very good on paper, but what you need to make that good is you need to have, you know, Taiga on field to have Piercing. You need to have Mimi to be able to activate it at the start of your turn, because, you know, it's a 3 cost, because Dimension Scissors is a 3 cost option card. And then you also have to have a RustTyrannomon already on the field. So that's, if anyone asks, like, why I'm not playing Dimension Scissors, or maybe like Hornbuster, or like Flower Cannon even, is just because you need so much setup to actually make those cards relevant, in my opinion. So that's why I just thought this was fine for the option card and Tamer lineup. And then for the Digi-Eggs, I'm just playing 3 copies of Tannemon and 2 copies of Argomon level 2. I thought this lineup was fine. I might cut one of these for a 4th copy of Tannemon. Tannemon just gives your, you know, dudes an extra 1,000, which is very important when you are going into RustTyrannomon. But this did come up quite a bit. If your Rust actually survives, then having the extra memory is pretty nice. So yeah, guys, that is going to be the deck profile. Let me know what you guys think in the comment section below. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you guys next time.